In a small Roman town near the sparkling waters of Lake Bolsena, a young girl named Christina lived in the shadow of wealth and power. Her father, Urbanus, was a prominent magistrate, devoted to the Roman gods and the strict traditions of his time. He spared no expense to ensure Christina grew up surrounded by luxury. Statues of gold and silver adorned their home, symbols of his faith and status. But Christina's heart was restless. Though her father worshipped these lifeless idols, she felt drawn to whispers of a God who was unseen but alive, a God who created the heavens and the earth. She would often wander to the outskirts of the town, where she could meet secretly with a small group of Christians who shared stories of their faith and sang hymns of praise. Each meeting deepened her conviction, and her soul was transformed. She began to pray to this God and made a quiet vow to dedicate her life to him. One fateful night, unable to bear the sight of her father's idols any longer, Christina gathered them, smashed them to pieces, and distributed the gold and silver to the poor. Her actions were an act of defiance, not just against her father, but against the empire's gods. She felt a sense of liberation, but also knew the consequences would be severe. When Urbanus discovered her deed, his fury was terrifying. "How dare you destroy the sacred images and betray our gods?" he shouted. Christina stood calmly before him, her voice steady. "They are not gods," she said. "They are powerless. I serve the one true God, and I will not worship these false idols." Urbanus's pride and anger consumed him. Determined to break her spirit, he had Christina arrested and tied to a pillar, where she was whipped mercilessly. The lashes tore her skin, but Christina did not waver. She prayed for strength, and those watching marveled at her serenity. Her quiet prayers seemed to fill the air with an unshakable peace, a stark contrast to the violence inflicted upon her. When this failed to move her, Urbanus devised a crueler punishment. He had Christina thrown into a furnace, its flames roaring high. The heat was unbearable, and onlookers shielded their faces from the searing flames. Yet, as the minutes passed, Christina emerged unharmed, her face serene. Her persecutors were awestruck, but Urbanus was undeterred. He saw her survival as a direct challenge to his authority and the power of the Roman gods. Next, he ordered her to be thrown into the lake, bound to a heavy millstone meant to drag her to the depths. Christina felt the cold, oppressive weight of the stone as she was cast into the water. But as the stone plunged into the lake, Christina did not sink. To the amazement of all, an unseen force lifted her back to the surface. The water seemed to cradle her gently, as if the very elements were conspiring to protect her. Urbanus could not believe his eyes, but instead of relenting, his anger grew. He became more determined to force Christina to renounce her faith. Shortly after, Urbanus died, some say from sheer frustration at his failure to break her faith. But Christina's trials were far from over. Another magistrate, even more ruthless than her father, took up her case. This new tormentor tried to force Christina to worship the pagan gods. When she refused, he had her tortured further. She was beaten, starved, and subjected to every cruelty they could devise. Yet, through it all, Christina remained steadfast. Her resilience began to inspire those around her, and whispers of her miraculous survival spread throughout the town. People began to secretly admire her courage and question the power of their own gods. Finally, after countless attempts to break her will, Christina was condemned to death. She was tied to a post, her body pierced with arrows, and she succumbed to her injuries. Even in her final moments, she prayed for her tormentors, her faith unshaken. She asked for forgiveness for those who inflicted pain upon her, hoping that they too might come to know the love and mercy of her God. Christina's death marked her as a martyr, and her story quickly spread. The people of Bolsena began to revere her as a saint, inspired by her courage and devotion. Pilgrims came from far and wide to visit the place of her martyrdom, and a church was built in her honor. Her memory was preserved in the hearts of the faithful, who saw her as a symbol of unwavering faith and divine protection. To this day, Saint Christina of Bolsena is remembered as a beacon of faith. Her story continues to inspire all who hear it, a young girl whose love for God burned brighter than any fire, outlasted any torture, and triumphed even over death. Her legacy lives on in the hearts of those who draw strength from her unwavering conviction and find hope in her enduring spirit. The serene waters of Lake Bolsena reflect the timeless tale of a young girl who stood against the might of an empire, armed only with her faith and the love of her God. Christina's story is a testament to the power of belief and the eternal light that can shine through the darkest of times. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories.